Total to 11 for the year. What do you attribute your success to today?
The O-line and Curtis running in front of me.
Yeah, Curtis.
The O-line does a good job every day. And yes, the O-line doing a good job, and I'm just running through the holes.
What about Curtis? What you played an outstanding game today on defense. You always seemed to be right where the ball was. What was helping you determine where to be?
The thing that was helping us was during practice, we knew what they was gonna run, and our coach was yelling what the play was gonna happen. So they did a good job scouting.
Well, so you're attributing it to your coaching staff and preparing you very well for the game. That's good.
Curtis, you're not just saying that because that Coach
I
Frapoli
don't
is
run
right
the
behind you.
defense. No, I don't run the
No,
defense.
no.
Coach Lebrano and Coach Joe Frapoli run the defense, along with Coach Ordog. So they did a great job. They're right up. In fact, the other reporters just mentioned the fact that you guys were calling out the plays before they were running them, and it comes down to scouting and sort of knowing your opponents a little bit. But it's one thing to know what the other team is doing. You have to stop it. They're a very explosive team, but they never really got going. They never got going. And I just think, the fact that we decided before the game to take the win, we won the toss, that was big. They never got out of their end. We jumped off to a 3-touchdown lead, and then we never looked back from there.
I mean, MacArthur was booting the ball.
Yeah, he was. He did a great
He was going to
job.
land on the highway if he.
And I'll tell you what's very ironic. For the last week or so, we practice squib kicks all the time because they're so dangerous. We watch them in person just run back kicks all over the place. And as it was today, the wind was great, and he was kicking them through the end line before practice, before the other teams had gotten here. The other team had gotten here, and we decided to go with the deep kick. So that was big. It was very big.
Now, Coach, at the first half, it looked like they were going around your ends a little bit, and then there was a big play. I don't know if you recall this, but it was a sweep around the right side, and Curtis was playing the right defensive end. He came all the way around, made the tackle on the left side behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I thought that changed.
Our defensive line, I mean, I have the privilege of working with them, and they've gotten better every week. I think they have a lot of pride. In fact, last week when our defensive line practiced like crazy, the defensive backs and the other guys were like a little bit down a little bit, and I don't know why. I guess coming off a big win, our defensive line was all hepped up, and him and Trayshawn and Kyle Groover and Nnamdi Njoku, those guys, and Mike Wachowski and Doug and Dakota Benish too. But that's what Curtis does the best. Probably the best thing that we did with our defense, and we swap them around. Coach Nick and the defensive coaches made a decision after the Holy Cross game that he was being double teamed so much inside that we moved him. Even last year, I thought the big thing with Curtis was he has a natural ability of flowing down the line of scrimmage, and that's something you don't always teach.
Another important play that he was involved in on the defense is where he shot in there and literally, I thought he was going to take the handoff from the quarterback and totally disrupted the play.
I don't know, what was the call on that, Kurt?
It was whipping.
Oh, they were whipping. They were running a whip, and this was a cross charge. Yeah,
because we thought he came in on the inside, and that was on a 3rd and 1 play, which was.
You know what I like about our defense right now? I think they're really getting the confidence of playing together. They're attacking people, and I just think they're doing a great job collectively. And even though people throw the ball a little bit, I think we do enough things of changing up our defenses to really create a lot of problems. And Curtis and Jordan on the defense too. He had a tough job today. He had to defend pretty much number 9, their best receiver, and that's not always easy because not only are you running the ball from the tailback position and so on and so forth, but then you gotta dog him all day long, and that's a little bit hard. I'll tell you another thing that was really big too. We watched them number 9 since the first game or so. Yeah, he moved inside, and I thought our offensive line. Did he get through it all today?
No,
I mean,
if he did, our line did good.
Yeah, if he did, it was away from the play. But Ryan Miller, our center, and Matt Fletcher, and Dakota Benish, and Richard Cook, Trayshawn Roberts, the 1 tight end, and Aaron Salaga. All those guys did a great job. And you know, it was neat to see because they couldn't make that penetration in there. And we just came out and decided to run power football. That's what we decided to do. And then start the game. Quadir, he was the game captain today. He had that big crack on the touchdown. He clocked Sadler pretty good. And Sadler's a heck of a football player. I don't think he even saw it coming. So it was a great team effort. Now we got to get ready for our next game.
Yeah, now let me ask Jordan a
Sure.
question or two. You don't mind if you
No.
Jordan here, do you?
Absolutely.
Jordan, it seems like when you see the end zone, you put it in fourth gear. Is that you sniff it or what?
That's Coach Frapp yelling at me for doing practice to get in the end zone.
What do we talk about?
Gotta
Burst.
turn it up, gotta burst.
Got to burst.
I mean, right now you got 66 points, and it just seems like you have, Coach. It's like he's got a second burst once he sees the
Yeah,
end zone.
well, he's still not as good as he could be. You know, he's still got work to do, and we still have work to do.
Yes, sir.
And you know, that's what I like about this team. They're not afraid to work.
Coach, I think the offensive line did a great job today. I mean, they were just in size. I mean, they had like 8 guys over 200 pounds, and 2 of their linemen were over 300 pounds. And I think you guys just neutralized them all day. That's really a tribute to what.
Yeah, you know, I tell you, the down blocking of Trayshawn Roberts in particular, and I'm not going to get into different things, but he says, Coach, I can wipe this guy out all day long, and he sure did. And Trayshawn does a great job, whether we're running belly or down or power or whatever we're running. He's really had a great year at tight end for us, and that's one of our captains. In fact, he got mad. I pulled him out of the game early because they got around his end, and you know then he went back in, and I thought he really picked it up after that. But you're right, our offensive line. They're not real big, but they're quick, and Joe Fapoli, who works with them, their schemes are, and our backs can tell you, their schemes, they know their schemes, and they find a way to move the football.
Yep.
Coach, let me just remind the listeners that if they want to see this video, just go to WBCB1490.com, click on high school /local sports, and then click on sports videos, and you'll see Coach Frappoli along with Vernon and Curtis live.
I know Coach would never take the credit for this, but they were very well prepared for today, and I think it's a tribute to the coaching staff too, Coach. I mean, they were well prepared. You could tell that they knew their schemes, and they were prepared for whatever Palmyra threw at them against today. So I want to, a great job by you and your staff.
Thank you. The staff does a great job.
Joe, let me ask you this question. Now, you've been doing this for 38 years. You probably coach in your dreams at night. How do you get invigorated for every game?
Well, every game's a challenge. You know, when you got that in your system, I said a long time ago, young people, especially coaching football, thinking about it, the anticipation of the hunt, the anticipation of the preparation, the anticipation of the journey, the anticipation of a new rival or a new game, the competition. I still get the goosebumps, and I've said that as long as I can get those goosebumps, when I hear the fight song or I see the colors being swirled or I see young men like this and how their work ethics and their character and their commitment and the courage in which they play, the passion in which they play, it makes it easier for me. It really does.
What do you do differently this year because you don't have your teaching responsibilities, your athletic director responsibilities?
I grew a beard.
Do you find? Do you find that you spend more time with football?
I'll tell you what happens. When you're an administrator, and in my position, I had multiple jobs, but also the athletics, and you want to see all your athletic programs do very well. And, you care about all of them. You're preoccupied with a lot of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. I got a great coaching staff. We delegate, authority to different ones and the things that they do. I mean, like on offense, I pretty much handle the backs and what we're running offensively with the help of our coaches. Defensively, I coach the defensive line, so I have a very small part of the defense, but our other coaches do the yeoman's work on that. But the big thing is, I'm not as preoccupied. And even Coach Baxter said, Coach Baxter played on the first team that I coached back in '69 with Coach Pat, and I was an assistant. And he says, Coach, about a week ago, he says, you know something, Coach? He says, I don't want you to take this wrong, but you seem so much more calmer this year. And, you know, maybe it is. Maybe it is. First of all, the players are easy to coach. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, you got to stay after them because they're young people. You know, and they need somebody. They need the leadership to drive them. But I still have that drive. But I'm not as preoccupied. I think that's the biggest thing. And so I can spend more time looking at tape, more time thinking and focusing on what we can do to be better. And not that we didn't do it before, but I was pulling so many different directions. So probably that was a plus.
Just following up on that same theme, I mean, Jordan, this is your senior year. For the first 3 years, you had the opportunity to interact with Coach during the day. Curtis, you had that opportunity last year also. So how is it different now that your coach is not around? You don't see him in the school anymore. Is it anything different for you guys?
I'm still trying to get used to not seeing them pointing at me when I'm walking down the hall.
That's right.
I'm still getting used to that. It's hard though. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to
is,
get used to it.
It is different because normally you see coach walking down the hall, you'll say hi to him, he'll tell you stuff about the other team, but now you don't, so you gotta wait till practice.
Now, Joe, you got Maple Shade and New Egypt coming up, both having
Burlington first, yeah.
well, and Burlington City next Friday night.
Big rivalry, yeah.
You got the 3 big games. In a row.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I said, I told our team this past week, we're back in the Freedom Division. All these games are tough because they're rivalry games. They get up for Florence, we get up for them. Even though they're not divisional games, they're all big games. They're all the next step. If we want to get, we want to get a good seed, we want to get into the playoffs. There's a lot of quality teams in there, and some of them are undefeated. So we just got to take them one at a time. Now, we got to find a way to play like champions on the road. And our first step is, next week at Burlington City. That always plays us tough. They're struggling a little bit right now, but they'll come to play. And you can't take anybody for granted. And to tell you the truth, I'm not even looking beyond them because those games will come up. But the one good thing, we play a Friday, Saturday, Friday combination, so it mixes it up a little bit. And in that sense, it's probably a good thing.
And also gives you an opportunity to scout the other teams.
Yes,
yourself.
absolutely. One of the things with playing some Saturday games this year, like for example, Friday night, all of our coaches were scouting. We were scouting three different games. Next weekend we'll be scouting on Saturday playoff teams and possible playoff teams. And that's important because you get a chance to see people. It makes things a little bit easier.
Okay, Coach. As always, it's a pleasure. We'll be
Thank
seeing
you.
you next week.
Thank you. Appreciate
Curtis,
it.
good game.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you.
Jordan, you play a good game every week.
Sorry.
So even though he says you need improvement,
I do,
from
I
up
do.
here you look pretty good. Both of you guys.
Thank you. We
Thanks
appreciate
again.
it.
Don't forget to view this video on WBCB. Oh. You guys are going to get large pizzas from Rocco's, and this one's for you, and this one's for you, and don't take each other.
Good job. That's all right, right? That's not bad.